All right. Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you to everyone joining us online and here at Mountain America Stadium in Tempe, Arizona. I'm Nick Yang, and I'm the Digital Communications Coordinator at Zócalo Public Square, a unit of Arizona State University Media Enterprise. At Zócalo, our mission is to connect people to ideas and to each other. Everything we do is free, and everyone is welcome. We publish original writing and present conversations like this one. You can find us at zocalopublicsquare.org, on podcast platforms, and YouTube, so please subscribe for our latest programs. We were founded in 2003 and are now celebrating our 21st birthday year. Our program tonight asks, is sport the final frontier for queer acceptance? We're pleased to co-present this program with ASU 365 Community Union, and it's an honor to introduce our guest for tonight. Taylor Mack is the first American to receive the International Ibsen Award, is a MacArthur Fellow, a Pulitzer Prize finalist, a Tony nominee for Best Play, and the recipient of the Kennedy Prize. Judy is the author of Bark of Millions and The Hang, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil the Musical, Gary, a sequel to Titus Andronicus, and a 24-decade history of popular music. Esera Tuaolo had a successful football career for 13 years. He played at Oregon State University and then in the NFL for 9 years. For the Green Bay Packers, Minnesota Vikings, Jacksonville Jaguars, Atlanta Falcons, and Carolina Panthers. He was named Pac-10 Conference First Team twice, was a finalist for the Lombardi Award and the Outland Trophy, won the Morris Trophy in 1989, was the first rookie in Packer history to start all 16 games in a season, and he reached the Super Bowl with the Atlanta Falcons. After retiring from the NFL, Tuaolo came out as gay in 2002 and began advocating for the LGBTQ community. He founded the nonprofit Hate Is Wrong and published an autobiography, Alone in the Trenches, My Life as a Gay Man in the NFL. He was cast on season 13 of The Voice and made it to the top 20. He performs throughout the country, including on television programs like The Ellen Show. I'll now turn it over to Esera.
Aloha, everyone. Welcome. My name is Esera Tuaolo, a.k.a. Mr. Aloha.
Yes, you are.
I just want to welcome all of you guys here today. Also welcome everyone that is chiming in. It's an honor to be here today, sitting right next to this amazing and talented and incredible man, Taylor Mack, who's in the house. Everybody, one more time. Right? So you're gonna have time to ask questions later on in the program. How much do I bench? How much does Taylor squat? No, but we'll have some time for questions, audience questions towards the end of the program. If you're watching online, you can submit your questions to the live chat on YouTube. If you are here in person, you can also text questions to the number that is on your wristband. So I guess let's get started. How you doing, Taylor?
I'm doing good. I'm
right?
so happy
I wore pink for you. Look at that.
Is representing. Yeah.
I wore pink and stuff. Oh, who's in the audience?
Just a sister of perpetual indulgence.
Oh, aloha.
One of my
Welcome.
favorite drag queens of the world.
Yes, that's amazing. Aloha. Nice to meet you. So I guess let's get started, right? Because we don't have a lot of time. But
yeah.
I think the first question that I wanted to ask was, why is queerness accepted in the theater and still taboo on the field? Now, for me, I'm thinking because, in sports, like we're sort of like the queer minority, right? There's not a lot of us, right? For the NFL, David Kopay came out in the 70s, and then 3 decades later, I came out, and then another 2 decades later, Ryan came. So, for me and stuff, I think we're the minority. But what do you think?
Well, I can say that growing up as a queer kid, playing sports for me it was uncomfortable because the energy of the boys was so aggressive.
Right.
And because competing, I might be a competitive person, but competing with my body to intimidate other people was not something that came natural to me, you know.
Right.
And then also I was, you know, I would have maybe wanted to take dance classes or something like that, but you didn't do that when I was a kid, you know, a boy. Like there was always like one boy in the dance class and they were tortured. Right. And so we didn't have an outlet for our bodies when I was young as a queer person. And I think that basically just sends a message to queer people to not strive and try. Oh. But you go to theater and you might get, you know, applauded, and you might feel comfortable in that environment, and it's not about people trying to intimidate you with their bodies. So right. You don't feel attacked all the time. And so I think more queer people navigate to that world. But that if the sport world was more open to expressing to young boys that you don't use your body to intimidate others unless you're playing a game, but you don't do it after the game, then maybe there would be more queers in the sports. But it's just homophobia is the answer.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more. Do you think there's a lot more queer people in theater then? Or?
I mean, my assumption is that there's a lot more out people in the theater. But again, I went to. I don't think the theater is as queer as people like to say that it is, because I've been in it my whole life, and I was the only out gay person in the drama department in San Francisco State University, right, when I was growing up. It's probably different now, but also when I went to my acting school, I was one of 2 out homosexuals in my acting school, acting conservatory in New York City. If you go down the list of all the musicals that have won the Tony Award over the history of the Tony Awards, there's only 3 that had a central character that was queer. Arguably, you could say 4 because of Cats, right? But like, so only 3. You know, one of them's, fun homo lesbian, and then the other 2, I can't remember what they are. But really, it's exaggerated that there's some gay mafia in the theater running everything. Most gay people in every industry have to frame everything they do towards a straight or cis audience in order to succeed at it. And you're asked to do that all the time because they want you to make work that's universal so that people will want to purchase you and purchase what you do. So it's really about capitalism, and it's about majority rules all the time.
Yeah. So when I was a little kid in Hawaii, I always wanted to, because I grew up in a musical family. And I've always wanted to do, obviously I knew I was gay back when I was a little kid. Yeah. And I like the way when you say, back in our days, because it's definitely different, right? It's definitely, we couldn't sort of kind of be ourselves. I remember the first time I went out for sports, I was scared, and I didn't know what I was doing. Especially football. And I remember this is what sports gave to me, right? What sports gave to me, I remember doing a drill called the Oklahoma drill. It's a tackling drill, right? So you got a runner, and then you got a runner, and then you got a tackler. So this kid called me out, and for some reason I was I never played football before. He called me out, and he was like, for some reason I was, I guess, a threat to him. So he chose me, and I was the tackler. The coach said, hut. I got up, and I hit him so hard that he didn't get up, right? So at first I had that little fear, right? Like, oh shit, what did I do? Yeah. But then what I found out and stuff, because I was closeted, because I was gay, because I would hold all that hurt and everything inside of me, right? Yeah. It was a way that I could unleash it all out to somebody. On the field, right? And so for me, I remember hitting that kid for the first time and how amazing it felt because all the stuff that I held in, I could just unleash. So that's what sports or football did for me. But,
how great would it have been if you had a different outlet
and
you could have just won without trying to destroy another human
Exactly,
being,
right? No, exactly, right? Yeah. So I always tell people, if I could feel this way, right? If I could feel out and free like I am now, sky would have been the limits, right? So the crazy thing is, like, I started playing football and I won all these awards. I kept winning all these awards, which, you know, us gays, we like awards. But anyway, so I kept winning all these awards. But the craziness was, as much as I tried to not, you know, be in the limelight because I didn't want people to find out that I was gay, it just sort of came to me, right? All the things. And I tell you, as I grew older, going to college and then being recruited to the NFL by the Green Bay Packers, it was one of those things where I kept pushing that little kid. I always tell people this, is that we all, you know, when I was a little kid, I was on a playing field. I saw friends of mine's like beating up this other kid, calling him fakalati, fa'afafine, right? What that means in Polynesian is gay, faggot, right? And so they were beating him up, and I tell people, that was the day when I saw myself in the kid, because I asked my friend, why are you guys doing that? He's like, oh, because he likes to play with the girls, he likes dolls, he likes, you know, he likes boys. And I said, what? And so that is the day I tell people that I took that child within me, the child we have within all of us. I took that child and I threw him in the closet, right? And that is the day I became I became an actor. I had to be bigger and stronger and faster, right? Yeah. And so it was just crazy that when I played in the NFL, it was just one of those things where I wish I could have been out. I wish I could have been free. I wish I could feel this way, to be able to sort of, like, you know, all the accomplishments in my life that I could have done. But there are games here at Arizona State University, remembering times when I remember getting a sacking a quarterback or tackle, and blacking out. And the reason why I blacked out is because I would hear my name echo through the stadium, and I thought that someone was going to find out that Esera Tuaolo was gay.
Yeah. Oh, right. It's so painful.
I know, right? So anyway, I guess, you know, gosh, it's so cool. We're sort of kind of doing the similarities between theater and sports, right? Yeah. And not similarities of theaters and sports, right? But one thing I wanted to ask you, on your HBO special, right? The hard work that you had to put in to doing that 24-hour show.
It's kind of what we think, you know, what is sport, you know? Right. And one of the things that, you know, I maybe would like to plant a seed for the people here, or whatever, who's ever thinking about these issues, is that it might be time to start to rethink what competition is and what sport is. Because what is sport? Performing for 24 hours, you could call it a sport. You know, there was a lot of training, a lot of marathon training. This is a muscle. There's all these muscles in here that you have to, you know, you have to learn how to relax and do and train and build, and so yeah, it was the way that you know,
how did you do it? Because seriously,
I felt I could use my body. I think of myself as a blue-collar worker, as a theater artist. You know, I use my body in my job, and so. But yeah, there was so much of my childhood emphasis was that I had to be a certain way in order to be able to use my body in the world. Even sexually, you know, I was supposed to, like, you know.
Yeah. But what I found, like, the similarities and stuff, the way you prepared for seeing the behind the scenes on the show, how you prepared for the show, right? How you prepared, you're going to sing 24 hours, you know, using your voice, like you said, the muscles. Not only that, the changing of the costumes. I mean, you got to be in shape. With football, is the same thing too, because I needed, you know, be able to prepare yourself every single week to jump on that field, right? It's sort of kind of similar to yours, because you don't want to fail your teammates, right? You don't want to fail your cast members, right? Yeah. So you have to sort of mentally and physically in your mind have to prepare yourself. And seeing you in that just sort of like, it sort of kind of opened up for me, opened up like this, like, wow, all the hard work that you put in it. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's
24 hours of singing, right? Yeah. 24 hours of dancing, 24 hours of changing costumes and stuff like that, makeup.
It's more the wearing the heels was the hardest part, but yeah.
Right, oh, the heels.
For 24 hours.
Now, I told you about Polly Lava, right? I told you about Polly Lava, but wow, Polly the heels.
Lava, that's his drag character.
Oh,
Polly
yeah.
Lava.
That is my drag name, Polly Lava. It's called Hot Polynesian, Polly Lava. Anyway. But yeah, man, so that was absolutely incredible. So, all right, let's move on.
Yeah.
All right, the other question that was sort of kind of blasted out there to people was, is sports the final frontier for queer acceptance? Is sports the final frontier for queer acceptance? I say no, because there's so much other things.
I know, I say no too. But
that we need to focus on. Seriously?
Yeah. But I think it's linked, because so Trump just said there's only two genders. So the president, so I think the final frontier is actually the American government. And the voting people. That's the final frontier. But he said that because they used transphobia as a way to stir up all of the anxiety. And the way that they could connect people to their transphobia was to address, 10 trans kids that are in sports, right, out of 500,000. So that it was like, let's bully a bunch of trans kids. And so I think that's part of it. It's all linked. Nothing is separate. It's like we have to fix the minds of the people, not as well as the institutions. And I always go to, everything's capitalism for me. I always go to capitalism because if you're living in a culture where whatever makes the most money is considered the most virtuous, that's a problem. And so anyone who isn't part of the mass culture can never actually be considered virtuous in the culture.
So sports is not the final frontier. Okay. We have a lot of other problems and stuff that we need to deal with, and talking about trans. So I grew up in Hawaii, and so for the Polynesian people we have fa'afafines, right? Trans people, and so I grew up around fa'afafines, my uncles, my aunts, all of that. So it was just.
It's not a big deal for you.
Huh?
It was not a big deal.
Yeah, it was not a big deal to us. It wasn't, and so when I see all the things that are happening in the world and all the hate towards trans and stuff like that, it's one of those things where I don't understand it, right? What I'm saying is I don't have the solution, right? But I know it's something that we need to put on the table so we can all talk about, right? We need to come up with something. We do, because
And I think that's right in the sense of the binary.
Right.
The binary of the issue is part of the problem, because I heard this man on the radio just saying he wouldn't want his cis daughter to lose out on winning a blue ribbon because a trans kid was competing with her. And I thought, so you want your cis daughter to grow up in a world where she wins a blue ribbon at the expense of another kid? Like what? So it's like we have to rethink what the actual question is.
Yeah.
Because the question now means that somebody has to be hurt, and that if we put all the attention that we're putting into harming 10 trans kids into figuring out a different solution that lifted everybody up, then we could do that. But we would have to change the way that we hold dear our culture and our the way things move forward. But change is part of it.
Change is part of it. We just also have to embrace our differences, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. We have to respect and embrace our differences and celebrate who we truly are, right? I think those are the things. But to get to that point I don't know the answer to that. I really don't. But I think, the more you talk about it, the more conversations we have about it, I think we can come up with a solution.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So even like, So even like, we talked about, let's talk about something a little bit more like lighthearted and stuff. Relationships, right? Relationships. Wow. Oh my God. So back in our days, right, it was very difficult, right?
To be in a relationship.
Relationship, obviously, because it was so homophobic back then, especially growing up in a Polynesian culture, which is very masculine and very like, once we were warriors, right? So it was hard. But what's so beautiful now, what is so beautiful now is seeing our younger generation.
I had this experience I was just in the Canadian Rockies, and I'm on this bus. Everyone's so nice in Canada. The minute
So
I
they're
get in
not.
America,
I'm
the
just
cab
kidding.
driver was mean. I was like, I'm back in America. But I'm on the bus in Canada, and these 13-year-old boys are on the bus. They're going home from school. One of them gets off, and another 13-year-old boy said to the other one, "Bye, Spencer, love you." That never would have happened when I was a kid.
OMG.
There was no way I would have
Right.
ever said that, or anyone else would have said that.
Oh,
to
you
me.
would get your butt kicked, or you
We
would be
would've-
like, yeah.
Yeah, there's no way. So maybe it's Canada, but it just made my heart go like that, because
Right.
I just thought, wow, it's such a, as
Definitely-
as horrible as it's getting, it's also in a lot of ways it's getting better.
Yeah, I remember, 'cause, that's one of the things that I do for a living and stuff. I go out and I speak on homophobia and anti-bullying and stuff like that. And it's so crazy that how far we've moved ahead, right? And it's, obviously we always have baby steps, we have more to do. But just like your story, I was in Malak, Minnesota. Yeah. I lived in Minnesota. I can say it like that because I've lived in Minnesota for 35 years. So don't give me those eyes and stuff so like I see some of you are. But Malak, Minnesota, I was doing up a show there at the casino. And then I was hanging out with the people afterwards, the country folks. And so just out of the blues, right, we're out of my, to my left, I'm talking with somebody and I hear this woman go, yeah, my son and his partner, right? And she named the guy, I think it was Jason. I was like, Like, what? And so, and I said, excuse me, like your partner in like, his partner like a boy? And like, she goes, yeah. I almost lost it because it's one of those things where for 20 years I've been talking to parents and stuff about like, not why did you kick out your kids and stuff and all of that things. And so it was one of those things, it felt amazing just to hear someone from rural Minnesota, right? And it was just like nothing. And it felt great because then all the hard work for all the people that came before me and all the work that we've done and stuff is paying off, right? Because they have all these kids just feel like they don't have to come out, right? They don't have to, they can just be themselves. Well, my straight friends didn't come out. Why should I come out, right? So just to see this on TikTok, on social media, and it's absolutely incredible. And so just like your story, my story, we need more stories like that. We need to have where it's just not a big deal, right? And now, I just got the signal, and the signal is we are getting ready for, we need to ask questions. So again, if you want to.
The interviews are like a sporting
Wow,
event.
I know, right? It's like, shoot, before you know it, we're having fun up here. I had so much on my list and stuff to talk about. But yeah, we're going to go to questions right now. So if you have any questions, please ask. I think someone's going to take it over.
Hi, everyone. So to our in-person audience, if you have any questions, please come up to the stage right and ask your questions away. But first, I'm going to start with the online question. So first question is, are we all inherently actors by nature because of throwing our inner child into the closet to survive in a heteronormative world? Can you expand upon this?
Sorry.
Are we all
Am I
what?
speaking? Okay.
Yeah, I'm half deaf because of football. Because
Okay. Are we all inherently actors by nature because of throwing our inner child into the closet to survive in a heteronormative world? Can you expand upon this?
Yeah.
Are we all actors? Wow.
Well, I think that people who traditionally don't have a lot of power in the culture tend to get more expressive, so that they can be seen, so that they can feel like they exist in the world. And I think that develops certain skills. And yeah, if there's less of you, in order to survive, you need to feel like you're bigger. You need to feel like you can reach the back row with your voice. So I think in a lot of ways, yes. It causes a lot of problems because we do have to lie so much just to survive. But,
Yes, yeah, it is. And that question really resonates with me and stuff because now that I think about it, like I had to be an actor, coming out and making sure that they didn't find out that I was gay or if I, Because if they did, back in those days, they could kick me off, or not only that, they could probably put a bounty on me. Wow. So how much do you think would be for the gay NFL player, right? So anyway, but we definitely are all actors.
But I would say that I would use a different word from acting, because I do think people think acting is lying, and actually acting is the attempt to try to find a truth. It's not necessarily the truth, but it's an attempt to get to the truth. And that's what we're watching when we watch really good acting, is we're watching somebody seek the truth.
He said.
So I'd use a different word. I don't think we're actors, but
seeking the truth.
But gay people do have to lie a lot just to be able to get by.
Oh yeah. How many lies do you think you've told?
I had everything had to go like this as a child.
Thousands.
I had to always do a workaround in order to achieve anything.
The wasted energy and stuff of lying, and the wasted energy of not being yourself. Man, like I tell my straight friends and stuff, man, you guys don't know anything. Because, the hoops that we had to jump over, or the things that we had to, to do just to sort of hide the secret. All the women that I had to date, no offense, women, but oh my gosh.
Those poor women.
All the straight, all my straight friends taking me to strip clubs. You know all the money that I wasted at all those strip clubs? It's like, are you kidding me? Anyway, no, but just jumping those hoops and not being yourself. Man, I always tell people, if I could feel this way, how empowering would I feel, man? Seriously. The thing about it, so I will never get a yellow coat.
A yellow coat?
A yellow coat is the Hall of Fame, right? I would never get that, right? Because I was living in the closet, right? I was living in the closet with hurt, pain, fear, and all of that. But was I good enough? Of course. Like you see in high school and in college, all the awards that I won, it's got harder when you played in the NFL, right? Because there was a lot more to lose. So I'll never get a yellow coat. But by me speaking out, by people speaking out, and somebody in my community will someday get a yellow coat. And I'm so happy about that.
I'm gonna commission my friend Machine Dazzle to make you a yellow coat.
Wow! It's a 52. No, I'm just kidding.
If 52 is your number?
Yeah, 52.
Okay.
All right,
let's move on to the next online question. And again, a reminder, if you have an in-person
question. Yeah, if you guys have
please
questions,
So next question, what are things we can do to empower others and queerness in general during this administration, and how do you think the community will evolve?
Continue to live your life, right? Continue to be out there and use the thing below your nose and above your chin is called a mouth. That's what we need to do. We need to use our voices out there. Yes, this administration, a lot of people are upset. A lot of people are angry about things and stuff like that. But also you need to educate yourself on things too. Don't just jump to the conclusions, but make sure you educate yourself. But what we need to do is come together as a group, as a community, and make sure that, that we're all supported, make sure that we're all on the same page. Don't be discouraged. Get out of that funk that you're in. Get out of it. Because I tell you what, if you pull yourself out of that, I tell you, we're stronger than you know. So, and I'm sorry.
What that queen said.
What that queen said, yeah. I've never been called a queen. No, I'm just kidding.
Of course you have.
Hi, my name is Kimberly.
Hi.
Hi. My question is, could you share a positive experience where sharing your being out and being queer in public was like received positively, and you felt like it was going to help somebody in that space?
Oh well. I've been doing drag a long time, and in the 90s I would do drag and walk down the streets in New York, and sometimes people would, I got sucker punched a few times, and people would throw like big cups on me, and a couple guns pointed at me, and different things like that. But also at the same time, I would get a lot of people that would cheer me and celebrate something different in the world. So it was like this all the time, and then recently I walked down the street in drag, maybe I guess it was about a year ago, and nobody noticed. And that was wild. It was.
That was awesome.
So I don't know if it's so much that I inspired other people, but it was definitely like, oh, something shifted, at least in New York City in the East Village.
Right. For me and stuff, it's when somebody taps me on the shoulder, right? And then I turn around and it says, like, thank you so much for sharing your story, right? It gave me strength to tell my mom, my dad, my family, my story, and thank you, right? It's the same thing that I did for David Copay, right? Tapped him on the shoulder and I said, thank you for coming because you paved the way for me, right? So every single time when, and I get that a lot when people, they either email me, send me messages on social media and stuff like that. It's one of those things where it feels good, right? Because 35 years of my life, I was in the darkness, right? 35 years of my life, I was living in pain and hurt and wanted to commit suicide and all these things, right? And so, but coming out was such an amazing thing because what it did, when you come out, you hear all these stories, you're like, oh my gosh, I feel complete, right? I feel complete. Well, for me, I believe that is the day where you can go back out, you can open that door and you can let that child that you put in the closet when you were a little kid, and you can let them out and you can be clear. So for me and stuff, when people come up and they give me a compliment like that, it makes me feel good that I made the right decision and I'm not 6 feet under.
Thank you so much. This is our last question for the night.
Hi, I'm Skylar.
Hi.
My question is, how do you see your role in changing the current narrative of masculinity in the United States, and what's your hope for that in the future?
Oh, wow. Well, I'm wearing pink. I would never wear pink. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a good question, though.
I mean, masculinity, I think we have to, there's a narrative on the street that masculinity is about survival of the fittest. Again, that's so much our moral code in America is who's ever more fit is top dog, and whoever has more power is the person who is the most virtuous, is the person who should win. And I think we have to change that concept. So, something I always promote is perfection is for assholes. I always promote that that masculinity doesn't have to be toxic. I always I try to figure out how I don't have to be fierce in order to compete with other people who are fierce in a different way. Instead, I can be tender in a too tough place. And I try to lead with my tenderness as much as possible. And that's how I do it, by example, as you say. Just like lead with your tenderness. But sometimes queer people can be like, they can get tough and loud and fierce and angry and be queens, people with, who are going to rule over others. That's the language that we use. And I think we need to maybe shift that and just lead with our tenderness instead of this kind of energy of, in order to survive, we have to bully other people.
Right. Every time I see a person, and I say a person, I mean everyone, living their truth and is comfortable expressing themselves, right? Either it be, whatever in life. I think for me, that's sort of like a victory, right? And back in the old days, you would rarely see that, right? It was either masculine or, right? But what's so amazing now, what you see on social media, is people just embracing themselves. And so masculinity can come in so many different ways, right? And so it's for me and stuff, just having somebody be truthful to themselves and be, just be themselves. Using the words and the way they act and the way they, for me, it was great because it was sort of like when I came out, holy, you know, it's not that I was going to do a 360 and be like, hey girl, like, or anything like that. But what it gave me the freedom to do is be myself, right? And to express myself the way I wanted, the way Esera Tuaolo wanted to express himself, right? So whether that, you know, and it's crazy because I remember like when I came out, like I would play basketball with all these guys, and it's always like fights in it, you know, everything is crazy. And so when I came out on Real Sports on HBO, I went back to that basketball the same, right? And so everything was sort of kind of different because, you know, going against somebody and, you know, they want to say the word, but they won't say it, right? Right. But so what they saw in me and stuff was a whole different person, right? It's like, I'm not going to take your shit anymore, right? I'm not going to take those words that you were like blurting out and stuff. I'm not going to hide. I'm not going to do anything. So it just gives me that power. So masculinity to me is anyone who's just being themselves and gaining that power.
Yeah. Can I also just want to say, when I was in Spain, we invited these people to our show who made a human tower on the stage. So they start at the bottom and they go, I mean, really high up, like 3 stories high. It's really scary, but incredible. And what they do is they start with the people who are the strongest at the bottom, and the people who have the, you know, who arguably you could argue have the least amount of strength and are the lightest, they're at the top, right? But our culture flips that. What we have are the people who are the strongest, like Elon Musk, are at the top, right? Stepping on everyone who is the weakest. So of course the culture is going to dissolve, it's going to be destroyed because the people who are the weakest cannot hold up the people that have the most weight, right? So that's what we need to do, is flip it. Right, so that you lift everyone who has the least amount of the power, you lift them up, right? And as they go up, everyone else is lifted, right? And there used to be a nobility in being that person. That's what masculinity really, that's what the wonderful beauty of masculinity is. In Spain, there's a nobility to being the person at the base who's able to lift everybody up. That's where the dignity comes from. And instead, we think it's dignified to be the person at the top stepping on everybody. So
that's why I was never a cheerleader, because I've always wanted to be on top of the pyramid, not on the bottom. So they kept kicking me off, and then I tried football, and so I went. Anyway, thank you guys so much. We're going to be closing this out. Taylor, thank you. It's such I love you. You know I love you and stuff. It's such an honor to do this with you, and hopefully you can have me sing on your show one day. But I don't know about 24 hours. Oh my gosh. So anyway, I may pronounce this wrong, and can you please tell me what's the Zócalo. Okay. All right. I'm so sorry. All right. Thank you, Zócalo Public Square and ASU 365 Community Union for presenting this conversation. Thank you guys so much. You'll be able to find a summary of the program on Zócalo's website in the coming days, as well as the interviews with all the panelists. And please subscribe to Zócalo's newsletter, podcast, and social media for more conversations. Also, make sure you look up Taylor Mack on his social media. What is your handle for Instagram?
Taylor Mack.
Taylor Mack. You'll find him, or just use the Googleizer to Google him. Else, you can find me on Instagram. That's Mr. Aloha 98. Again, thank you guys so much for being here. We invite you in-person audience, you guys, right, to continue the conversation during our intermissions with complimentary cotton candy. Don't eat it all because I love cotton candy. So at 8:30, we'll start the screening of the Taylor Mack's 24-decade history of popular music, and it's absolutely incredible because I saw it already. And I have to just tell you something real quick. You know, I just love the show, the movie. It was absolutely incredible, and it just sort of kind of empowered me. So I just want to thank you guys thank you for doing it. But before we leave, right, an act of kindness can change the world, but also it can change you or someone that you don't know. So please, we live in a world that's full of hate right now, and what we need to do is make room for love. And so as you guys leave here, I hope that you don't take what we've said and throw it in the trash, but I hope that you take it and you apply it to your life and you share it, right? Because that in Polynesia, we would share our stories to gain our wisdom and our power. So that's what you guys need to do. So make sure you share that. So thanks again, and let's have another round of applause for me and Taylor, and for all of you guys. Snap, 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 snap. I'm gonna do this one. I don't know what this one is, but I heard this one means a lot more when you do it like that. Like, yeah, do it like. But anyway, thank you guys so much. If you have any more questions, we're going to be around. Please ask away. And yeah, thank you again for coming. Appreciate it. Yeah.